Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys from Canada. We know we love you in Canada so much. We're gonna say, "Oh, Canada!" I think that's backed by record demand, Big C. I think that's my email what it said. I can't read sometimes without my glasses. We all want to say we love you over in Africa. We love the Big C tribe, but Big C, there's no one we love more than you good old boys down south. In the land of the free, in the home of the brave, Big C, how's it going for you good old boys on March 21st, 2018, Big C?
Well, Charlton, it's a little cold down here, and I think the Canadians got geographically us mixed up. You still being on the West Coast, me down south. I think they got that a little backwards.
Yeah.
But, I was able to slide onto that Kansas State yesterday and sneak into the arena when they were going in there.
Yeah.
It was cold up underneath there. They don't have any heaters under the bus.
Well, you snuck into the arena for, what'd you sneak into the arena for, Big C?
Well, the game is tomorrow. I didn't have a ticket and it sold out, so I had to find a way. I put on an old K-State T-shirt, got down there in the cargo bin, so by the time, the bus driver opened up the door and I stood up, he figured I was with the team.
Yeah, I guess you try to be like the politician. Everything's free when you're a politician, but it's all going to be good. Great March Madness coming up when you think about it. Just so many great stories, and especially looking at the Nevada story and Gonzaga, of course, and you have the Loyola Chicago. Just so much can happen in March Madness, and it really goes back to why the game is such a great game, so we'll get into a little bit of that later. I also want to say Black Panther, the #1 movie in the universe, has crossed $1.2 billion. We got some more Trump. I think he's about to pay out $1.2 billion. Big C. He's had Stormy Daniels. Gloria Allred is out of turn. If I were ever in trouble, and in the opposite world, if I was a woman, okay, if I got in trouble, I would want Gloria Allred to sit up and represent me, because she's I don't want to say anything wrong, but she's aggressive, okay, and I like the way she represents her client, whether you agree with her or not. Special counsel has some questions he want to ask Trump. Did he know he had some Russians that were, you have gremlins in the house sometimes, Big C? Did he know he had Russians in the house? In this new football league, they want to try a new league for some reason. I guess the NFL is good enough, but they want to try some other leagues. But Big C got a lot going on in NBA. But I want to start off really, I was just watching some things on CNN, and I love Don Lemon, and I love watching their show because they always put Republicans and Democrats on, so you get what's called equal time, and a lot of networks don't do that. But did you see how obviously this Stormy Daniels? There's a lady named Summer Zervos. I think she's suing, and Trump's counsel is trying to push back. Obviously, there's a lot more people coming out of the woodworks. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I think it's called No Fear.
Yeah.
There was a sports slogan by some shoe company said that a few years ago, no fear.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's occurring with all these women through this Me Too movement, is that, what do I have to lose about being honest?
Yeah.
I've been bullied forever, and like we talked about yesterday, the first lady is out in a grammar school talking to kids about bullying, and all they care about is colorgrams, using their colorgrams and seeing Power Rangers when they get home.
And Googling on their phones.
Well, no, this is not the Google. She didn't go to high school now to talk about bullying, where it really goes on and really is profound through the social media stage.
Yeah.
She didn't go there because these are the people who are fighting against their husband right now against gun laws.
Yeah.
And they were going to say, well, your husband is the #1 bullier in the country.
Oh, yeah.
But these women now, because of media, before, when he was in the private sector, they could hide everything.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to get the consistent media coverage.
Yeah.
But now that they can come forth and they're protected by the media. So a lot of his intimidation facts of the past don't carry weight today.
Yeah.
Because they have attorneys that they've brought in. And Gloria Allred is always in the front of a domestic situation like this, Charlton.
Yeah. You know,
but it's coming to a point that enough is enough.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when the intelligence agency told him not to contact Putin after this last Russian election.
Yeah.
Because it was tainted and it was unfair.
Yeah.
He just bypassed what the security counselors of the United States say. All the security agencies
Yeah.
told him not to. He's like, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, Russia might pull my funding.
Well, well, we know there's something going on, and I'm just saying, with all of these women coming out against the President of the United States, no matter who you are, Republican, whether you're a Democrat, we still want a great country. We still want leadership, and even if you don't like your pilot, you want him to land you safely. And even if you disagree with the president's behavior, as the highest office in the land, he represents everybody, the people, whether you agree with him or not. And I just think it's bad mojo for our country. We're dealing with Russia hacking our elections. They won't stop. They're going to do it again. They're like that rat that gets free cheese. It's not going to stop getting free cheese, Big C. Especially when you say, what rat? There's no rats running around here. That's what Trump's saying. But I just think it's a bad precedent for the president to continually tell all these women that you don't mean nothing. You know how we always end our show, Big C? There's never any excuse for any violence against women. Most men that have any woman in your life, of course, a mother, a sister, a daughter, a wife, girlfriend, even friends, whenever they come to men and tell men what happened, oftentimes they're told, well, you don't want to rock the boat. You have a good job and you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to get someone in trouble. I think those days are over, and I'm proud to see women standing up. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, for so long, women carried this scarlet letter, Charlton, tattooed on them.
Yeah.
That they were the bad person, and that that they could be berated in society, that their careers could be derailed because they went after a powerful man.
Yeah.
Which was wrong, and that's that bullying and harassing that the First Lady was talking about, that comes first and foremost out of her house.
Yeah.
And so these women, because of financial deficits that they had against him, they could not compete with him.
No.
Every case that they could bring forth, he could out-finance. And so they would just get delayed, moved in court, and different motions filed, frustration, and they would give up.
Yeah.
Because they would run out of money.
Yeah.
In pursuing these actions.
Yep.
And the problem is that prosecutors would never file cases against him, and who knows why. I guess it's the same as the Republican Party now.
Yeah.
The embarrassment that they feel, as Republicans, they control all the houses in Washington.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for them to get rid of one of their own.
Yeah.
And yet they had to back him initially.
Yep.
But I look at, they're supposed to be representing the American people.
Yeah.
Not one individual. The
Yep.
American people. That's what they were voted in office to do.
Yep.
But they should be hit with derelict of duty.
Yeah.
As far as what they were elected officials to do.
Yep.
And they're bypassing that because they're saying, well, this is this is our party. But it's also the American people that you're representing.
Yeah.
And I know he talked about how he's going to bring jobs back. He's going to get wage increases. But, when I sit here, and I think last week Toys R Us is closing some 230 stores.
Yeah.
33,000 employees.
Yeah.
We've seen what Macy's has lost. We've seen what Sears has lost. Two major retailers that have closed 150 stores this year. By the end of this year, they will have closed 150 stores.
Yep.
And so as we see this onslaught of American retail disappearing,
Yep.
I wonder, how do you steadfast now at your base saying, well, we're creating jobs when we see every week thousands and thousands of more people going on the unemployment line?
Yeah, well, I do want to defend POTUS for one thing. When he gave $130,000 to Stormy Daniels, he thought he was creating jobs. Starting with her, Big C. I do want to say this segment sponsored by.
He probably got a job from her.
I'm sure he did. This segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C said that you could drive a car or you could drive a Cadillac. So no matter what happens in the world of politics, I just think, because if he were an athlete, and we know some athletes that have been charged. I mean, Kobe Bryant was charged. He had to go to trial, I believe, up in Colorado. We know that Mike...
So that will settle out of court?
Yep, settle out of court. And we know that Mike Tyson did some time over some things that he was accused of and had to go to prison, spend some time in jail. There's a number of athletes that have had so much happen to them, whether it's a sexual assault or other things where sometimes your money can't buy people off. But I'll never forget, and this is for any woman, you know, especially Kellyanne Conway, and all the Huckabee, when they sit up and they say to the American people that these women were lying and that they're not telling the truth and the president's telling the truth, there are some young girls who unfortunately look up to them, maybe even their own children. And so when their daughters have that same thing that may happen to them that Trump has been doing to women for several decades, they have told their daughters, shut up. Don't say anything because you're lying. So they're going to tell their own daughters they're lying, Big C. They got to, because if they're being consistent, they can't say all these other women are lying when I hear there's some videotape and some audio tape that may come out, and that's why they're fighting so hard to keep it back. Don't think that Putin has you come to Russia with these beauty pageant girls, these young girls that when Trump goes in the locker room and stares at them. Don't think they don't set them up with some fringe benefits and have that recorded, Big C. That's not the first thing of espionage. They've learned that a long time ago, Big C. Would that make any sense?
Well, you know, you speak of Kellyanne Conway. She seems a fair weather person. If you go back to 2015, when she was back and working on Ted Cruz's campaign, all of a sudden when Donald Trump rose, you know, his major financer that was financing Ted Cruz and Kellyanne Conway was working for, switched to Trump. All of a sudden, Kellyanne Conway switched over to Trump. But Trump has admitted on tape that he molests women, that he is a molester,
grabs them by
that
the private part,
sexual assault, that he will walk up and grab a woman forcibly and physically in her private parts.
That's what Summer said.
He has stated that. This is not someone making that accusation. This is out of his own mouth. Now, the last time that I can remember, you know, and I watch a lot of TV, and you see these, you know, set up trials on television through these TV shows. That if somebody admitted that they committed a crime, that's considered guilty.
That's what I understand.
You know, now that's on the TV, you know, and that's where we're seeing everything and hearing everything now. But when someone is sitting up on the stand and say, I committed that sexual assault. That's pretty much an admission of guilt.
That's what he did.
And he's done this. And they said, well, he was just joking. No, he wasn't. Because he said he did it all the time.
All the time.
And they didn't do anything against it. And once he did that, he'd stick that tongue down their throat. So, you know, he said that he would force women to do things. And he said because he was rich and a celebrity, they let him get away with it. He paid his way through a lot of it. We're seeing that now. You know, I'll pay you for that.
No, he said his attorney paid the money for him, Big C. Let's keep it. He said his attorney paid for something that he couldn't even enjoy. How's that make sense? You take me to a smorgasbord, you pay for the food, watch me eat. That make any sense, Big C?
You know, that's the best part about it. And then here's an attorney in all civil court. Then he's going out and getting credit lines. To pay people off for some pleasure he didn't get. You know, I mean, that's a good friend. Really, I need a friend like that.
We all need friends like that, Big C. I mean, $130,000 can buy you a house. But, you know, it is a serious matter, and I know we laugh about it, too. But I'm just proud of women. It's like women have not been this bold since Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to someone who looked like Donald Trump, happened to be a Caucasian male. And our society had bequeathed white men with power that was unchallenged. You couldn't challenge it. And when we talk about these women that come forward, I think from what I see with my own eyes, and sometimes my eyes can deceive me, but they're all Caucasian women. They're all Caucasian women that have access to a lawyer or money or somebody that wants to represent them. I think back to the days of Jim Crow. And I think about how people are saying how bold and brave these women are now. And I think about the days when Rosa Parks was refusing to be humiliated by something that was unjust. Well, Rosa Parks didn't have $1 million attorney. She didn't have someone like Gloria Allred standing there by her side saying, we're going to try to ferret out justice. Rosa Parks, all she had was her faith in God, which a lot of black Americans grew up with, and the fact that she was right. But that still didn't stop the lynchings. That still didn't stop the public beatings and the humiliation and the spraying of water hose on black American citizens. So if people call these women brave, I just hope they take a little bit of time and pay homage to the first brave woman that stood up against the face of oppression and adversity, and that was Rosa Parks. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when we look at the growth of women over the years since the late 50s, early 60s, Charlton.
Yeah.
How the momentum of that part of society has grown and changed and resculpted America's structure.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen that growth in the political arena. We've seen it growth in the sporting arena and that growth in the social arena.
Yeah.
So women have become more and more empowered, not emboldened, but more empowered.
Yeah.
And they've gained value in society. For years, white men kept women oppressed just like the rest of the minority culture.
Yep.
Because, your place is in the home, raising the children, and that was it.
Yeah.
But those shackles have come off of them also.
Yeah.
But I like how women across the spectrum of America have changed and rescoped America in every capacity.
Yeah.
The power that they exude, the confidence that they exude daily.
Yep.
Is that they're just no longer this piece you put up on a mantle and say that's where you sit.
Yeah.
And don't move.
Yep.
It's like they've taken control and they do so much for America's progression.
Yeah.
In every capacity, and to take the steps that they're taking now to challenge the most powerful man in the United States.
Yep.
Saying that just because of position that you hold, we don't have to accept any longer what you've done to us.
Yeah.
And how you've oppressed us.
Yep.
And we're going to come forward.
Yeah.
And if there wasn't some validity to what they're saying, Charlton, you wouldn't see these tens of $1,000s an hour lawyers
Yeah.
coming up with every scenario that they can to block the lawsuits,
Yeah.
to change the venue of the lawsuits,
Yep.
and spend all this money. This is not free, what they're doing.
No. No.
So, these attorneys feel that they have to spend all this money as well as the president to block these women's actions because there's some validity there.
Yeah. And so.
And when more than one person knows something, you don't have a secret.
Yep.
So these attorneys know what the president knows. So
Yeah.
there's no secret there.
Yeah.
They're just trying to keep it under wraps.
And that's a strong point for every woman. There are women that are going off on their own, and men too. But for the most part, women are the ones that he's been grabbing that we know of, and women for the most part, are the ones. I mean, just based on talking to women and some of their fears is they don't want to be assaulted by someone, and oftentimes it happens by people that you know. And consensual is anathema to rapaciously taking something from somebody, to seize it by force. And I just hope that for young women who are not wealthy enough to have a Gloria Allred represent them, stand up and be bold and stand up for your body's yours, and no one has a right to violate it unless you consent to that. Don't let someone intimidate you. So with that, and we have special prosecutor, and we have Comey and the Flynn firing, and there's so much going on in the White House. So hopefully people pay attention to that as well as who won the game. Big C, I do want to touch on this new thing with sports, and I know we all love sports. And sometimes when you're running a race, you need a break. Even a football game has a halftime, and they call a timeout when they have to regroup. Now, I know if anything creates jobs, that's great, but too much of anything can water down the need to see it. This new league they're talking about starting in 2019, I want to get your thoughts. It's going to be, I guess, created by NFL players and commissioners, and of course they want to create jobs, but do you think that waters down the product of the NFL? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I don't think that it waters it down. Dick Ebersol, who used to run NBC Sports, as well as Bill Polian are involved in this, and Bill Polian is one of the greatest minds to ever exist in NFL management. Here's a guy that's taken 5 different teams to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So he's knowledgeable you know, to say that football would be watered down,
Yeah.
that means you got to get rid of 90% of the college football teams.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because the only thing right now that matters is the playoff system.
That's what it says.
Okay?
Yeah.
You got 4 teams. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
We saw maybe 4 bowl games other than the playoff games with full stadiums.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Other than that, the rest of them was just television time.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to football, because America has been built into that sport, it's become the number one pastime in America, and Vegas appreciates it more than anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the amount of money that's bet, you know, on a football game.
Yeah.
That, you know, the more that they can increase that opportunity, that's what's appreciated. And that's what sports has created now, Charlton.
Yep.
Is avenues of finance,
Yeah.
and not just for athletes. And so the more things that you put on the ledger that you can bet on will create interest.
Yeah.
I mean, people will bet on a snail race if they have to.
And I've
You
done
know?
that a couple of times.
Which dog can cross the street the first?
Yeah.
You know, they're going to bet on that.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
when you put football out there, there's always an interest for football. When you think about the various leagues that have sprung up, the World Football League,
Yeah.
back in the early to mid 70s,
Yeah.
we had the United States Football League that came up,
Yeah.
you know, in the mid to early 80s when it came into life.
Yeah.
You know, we had the XFL, you know, came up for a cup of coffee,
Yep.
and you know, but they all drew interest.
Yeah.
What it is that keep people attached is the quality of the product.
Yeah.
The XFL had a quality product. It had a bad owner come in. It had a rogue owner come in New Jersey,
Yeah.
and he challenged the stability of the league that was never going to go away.
What's the name of that owner that you're talking about? That rogue owner? Was it?
Well, he was a trump card. I think that they tried to pull in there.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay. And so he helped abolish that league,
Yeah.
you know, through greed.
Yeah.
And that greed forced that league and a lot of jobs to go away, Charlton.
Yep.
You know, when they talk about this new league coming up and it's going to be 8 teams for 10 weeks,
Yeah.
that's not a lot of time. Okay, so that's not going to detract people. That's the only thing it's going to take away from is probably draft day,
Yeah.
the first day of the draft day. That's it.
Yeah.
Other than that, the interest of football goes on.
Yeah.
When we think about the bad teams in the NFL, you look at the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they won 1 game in the last 2 years.
Yep.
But ever since they've been back in Cleveland, Charlton, their opening days have been sold out. You know, ever since for the last 20 years.
Oh, really?
Their opening days have been sold out for the last 20 years. And they've had 1 winning season in that time.
Yeah.
So you can never have enough football. What, the Bills hadn't made the playoffs in, 12 years?
Yep. Yeah.
And they always have a packed house up in Buffalo.
Yeah.
It all depends on where you put the teams at.
Yeah.
You're not going to go into an NFL city and force people to come to your games.
Yeah.
You got to go to a market, or even if you are in an NFL city, don't try to play in their stadium, Charlton.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to play in a smaller college stadium where, you know, you're hoping to get 20 to 30,000 fans in a stadium. Don't
Yeah.
expect to go into an arena and say, I'm going to get 75,000.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fill up the Superdome. Not going to fill up Giants Stadium. And we know the LA Coliseum's off limits because the Rams can't fill it.
Yeah, they can't fill it, so they're going to build a newer facility. And that's right. I mean, it's nice to have employment. So if they can create employment, you know, I'm all for that. I just don't want to see it where it's watered down all the time. But you know what? Like they say, if you don't like it, you can change the channel. Is that what they tell us, Big C? If you don't like Rush Limbaugh, just don't.
What season are we in right now?
Right now
in
we're in basketball.
season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do anybody know who has the 4 worst records in the NBA right now? Does anybody really know that? Does anybody care? That's the better question. Does anybody care who has the 4 worst records? They're talking about teams tanking.
Yeah.
Even if you have the worst record in the NBA,
Yeah.
and you get the first overall draft pick, look at the most recent 5 drafts in the NBA.
Yeah.
When did that first overall draft pick make a 20-game difference in any franchise? They haven't, Charlton.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, the 76ers, you know, for the past 5 years, they would have probably won, you know, 78 games this year.
Yeah,
The Saints had 4 consecutive ones.
yeah,
So that first overall draft pick and the one they had this past season
yeah,
hasn't even played. So it's the guys from years past that have the team in playoff contention now.
yeah,
So don't think that your first overall draft pick, especially in the NFL,
yeah,
is going to make it. I mean, is going to make a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, Sam Donald is going to be the first draft pick in the NFL.
yeah.
Okay, as a quarterback, they already traded for Tyrod Taylor.
Did
So they said they're willing to let him sit and learn for a year.
yeah,
That's the reason why they brought in Tyrod Taylor.
yeah,
It may not be a year. It may be only 6 or 8 games.
yeah,
But if the Browns win 2 or 3 games in the first half of the season, he'll sit the entire season.
well,
If they don't win, then they bring him in.
yeah, yeah. I mean, everybody gets a chance. That's obviously when you talk about the NBA and some of the worst teams. You look at Phoenix. You know, they're like 37 and a half games out of first place, 19 wins on the season. You got Memphis. They just don't win. And then Atlanta and Orlando in the Eastern Conference. But they're all getting paid in this as part of the whole process. So we know that more jobs is great. And so I wish everyone well that's trying to make those teams. It's always good for employment. I do want to look at some of the things that are going on in the world of all this talk about, and I just want to get your opinion, because nobody has a right to say what's the right voice. I mean, people may or may not like what we do. We can say what we like or don't like about other broadcast networks. But I just want to ask, when I watch some of the broadcasts, I won't even name the station, but they have this thing where they're doing players only. And up at the Portland and Houston game last night, just getting a chance to watch some of it later, there's some people who don't even take the broadcast serious, and it shows. And especially for a number one game of the night, when you have the Portland Trailblazers at home. They won 18 of 19 at home going into the game. And they had a 13-game winning streak, taking on the number one record in the NBA, and the Houston, Rockets. And I just want to ask your thoughts. I don't know if you saw the game, but sometimes they're just putting people on to call a game that don't even talk about the game. It's almost like Bill Walton, but different shades. Does that make any sense, Big C, at all?
Well, Charlton, you have to also look at these guys. They bring them in because they're noticeable names, okay?
Yeah.
It's not that they can educate you in the game.
Yeah.
That they can enhance the game. They're sitting back and they're fans themselves now, and they're watching the game. They can't add anything to what's going on the structure on the court.
Yeah.
So they start talking about themselves and other things.
Yeah.
And so they leave it to majority of the fans nowadays. And really, if you really want to enjoy a basketball game, and I'll tell any fan this, even a football game,
yeah,
turn off the TV.
Yeah.
Turn the volume off. Turn on the radio of that broadcast.
Yeah.
If you want to be entertained about what's going on the court, and a lot of people don't understand that. If you really want the insight of a broadcast,
yeah,
turn on the radio station.
Yeah.
Because radio broadcasters and announcers have to give you theater of the mind.
Yep.
They have to build that structure, that contest so much through your ear is that you close your eyes and imagine that you're there.
Yeah.
What happens with the television people now, because we talked about it, that it's not that they're hiring knowledgeable people.
Yeah.
They're trying to hire pretty people.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to deal with the visual effects of what a broadcaster or announcer looks like now.
Yeah.
Not that they can enhance the broadcast.
Yeah.
Radio, you have no image that you're looking at. It is that you listen to that radio broadcaster, and he's explaining to you what you just saw and why you saw it.
Yeah.
Not that you saw it and they said, well, let's just go to the replay.
Yeah.
They don't have it. So they create that replay constantly in your mind. You're like, wow, it's almost like being there.
Yep.
And so that's where American fans have become lazy.
Yeah.
Just like the broadcasters have become lazy.
Well,
is that we have these 4K televisions
yep,
that you're watching the sweat roll off somebody's eyelid.
Yeah.
And so they say, that's enough.
Yeah.
What more can I say?
Yeah. I don't know if I want to see sweat roll off Rush Limbaugh's eye. I saw that enough, Big C. So maybe I'm going to take my 4K TV back. It kind of scared me. I thought it was bleeding liquid, man. But sometimes it just depends on how much I guess he eats a lot of that can. Well, I won't say the name of any franchise, but some foods are very greasy, Big C. So I know sometimes, spending some time in radio studios and seeing some of the broadcasters, and they're all over the country. If you turn off the teleprompter and took away their production staff, and there's 19 screens they have up to see everything, a lot of those guys couldn't carry anything past maybe 5 minutes. And that would be 3 minutes talking about themselves. And I'm not insulting anybody, but we've always put that challenge to everyone out there in the broadcast media, because I'm kind of taking two sides of the story. I hear some broadcast brethren saying, I couldn't stand the broadcast that I heard last night. They need to get people who know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. At the same time, some of the guys know they can't do their job without somebody piping in their ear, or 19 monitors up, or some producer telling them what to say, because they don't know content. I mean, some high market guys in I'm knowing all over California, but they couldn't do it. And we've always put out that challenge. Turn off the...
I watched a veteran female broadcaster the other day on a sports program.
Yeah.
She was talking highlights.
Yeah.
The wrong highlight came up. She could only read the script.
Yeah.
She could not initially switch to the highlight that was on the screen. All she kept doing was reading the script in her hand, and we were watching a completely different game in the highlights.
Well, I've seen men...
And I'm like, all you got to do is open your eyes, my dear.
Yeah, well,
and you'll see that you're talking about the wrong two teams.
Men, too. I've seen... Yeah, men, too. It's both. It's not just the women. It's a lot of men, Big C. They have a job because they know somebody, not because they know what they're talking about. And we always just challenge people, whether it's us or anybody, Google what we ask and Google what we say. But for the broadcasters that are very... Because I'm walking both sides of the fence. But for these broadcasters, most of them Caucasian. Okay, that's the guys that you hear on the radio for the most part. And they're criticizing a lot of the voices that I hear that are men of color. And they're having this, where they got the producer in the ear, and they got the 19 TV screens and 12 computers, and they can't talk if they don't have that, because they don't have the talent, they just know somebody. And I challenge those guys that are the most critical to do a whole week. We've been doing it for 3 years. Do a whole week.
Do a week, do an hour.
Well, I want to do a whole week so they can see.
Week, the hair gonna turn gray.
Okay.
But do an hour.
Yeah.
Do an hour. Just have the screen up. You have the luxury of having the replays in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You've seen them. You saw the game.
Yeah.
But do the show without the script.
Yeah.
Without the notes. Just do it.
Yeah.
Show us your professionalism, your knowledge.
Yeah.
Just do that for an hour.
Yeah.
Don't sit there. Don't give me a week because they're going to call in sick a couple days.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah. Well, I just hear, I've always heard over the years, and, been with NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, ESPN, a lot of those networks, whether working certain games or just traveling and working and knowing a lot of people with those industries. And I do hear a lot of the good old boys say, well, Joe, do you think this guy really has what it takes? Do you think that he should have the opportunity to talk to us and tell us what we should hear? I even hear people saying, I haven't heard anyone who liked that that broadcast or whatever. But they, at the same time, got 19 TV screens, 2 producers. They got someone telling them what to say, writing down their scripts, not even prepared, just reading what someone gave to them. And I challenge those same guys that use that backhand conversation to try to get the broadcast booth to be more homogenous, to lose that skin tone. And they know who I'm talking about.
You think about the broadcast booth.
Yeah.
When you look at the play-by-play and you look at the analysts up in the booth.
Yeah.
They're only doing what somebody else tells them to do. They have a spotter.
I know.
They have 2 spotters. Each one have their own spotter.
Yep.
Explaining to who made the play.
Yep.
Who did what. Because they don't know.
Nope.
They're sitting there and they're telling them in the ear, so-and-so did this. Because when you see a guy and he's running live, 50% of the time, you'll see the analyst miss what happened.
Yeah.
They'll come back with a teleprompter, and I love that more than anything. When they're sitting there and they're drawing the line.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they missed it by a player.
Yep.
Okay, they're sitting there drawing a line around the tackle,
yep.
and the guard is the one pulling, or vice versa.
Yeah, yeah.
So, this is how devoid of knowledge that they are.
Yeah.
So, but they have a name, they have a championship ring or 2, but they're expert all of a sudden. But they've lost touch with the game.
Yeah.
The most enlightening part of football we had all last season was Tony Romo.
Yeah.
We all blasted him as a player.
Yeah.
The last couple of years of his career, couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know, he got hurt getting out of his car in the parking lot one time.
It's a big old car, though, big.
You know, but Tony Romo exonerated himself as an analyst.
He's good.
He saw the game from a different perspective.
Yeah.
He saw as an analyst what he could not recognize as a player.
Yeah.
Because the game slowed down from him. He wasn't under pressure.
Yeah.
So he sit there and recognized, and he told the fans what they had been missing for the past several years. Even John Madden, as great as everybody figured John Madden to be,
Yeah.
the last 5 years of John broadcasting was just John being a show.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he was enhancing the game. It was just he had became such an iconic figure
Yeah.
is that people said, well, okay, it's John Madden, so it must be good.
Yeah.
And he was more creating a show than he was, expanding the game in your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
He started losing his points. And I remember the great Keith Jackson during his lifetime.
Yeah.
And Keith had made a statement. It's like, look, the game is passing me by.
Yeah.
And I know myself personally, I'm not as sharp as I once was.
Yeah.
So instead of tarnishing my legacy, trying to hang on to something I love,
Yeah.
I'm going to pass the torch.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. The great Keith Jackson walked away.
Yeah.
And you could see it in Keith's broadcast, is that some of his points weren't as sharp.
Yeah.
But he acknowledged that himself, and you gave him the utmost respect for saying that. Not just saying I'm retiring, is that my skills are not what they once were.
Yeah.
It's like a running back saying, I can play until I'm 40 years old.
Yep.
You can't nowadays. A running back can't play till he's 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
He can't. So to say that I'm going to play till I'm 40 is not going to exist.
Yeah. I
The great
agree.
Jim Brown years ago, when Franco Harris was a running back with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Jim always, he never got the notoriety that Franco got, as great as Jim was. And Jim always thought that he could still play, even in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I remember on Wide World of Sports, old show that used to exist. Young people don't even know what that means.
What's Wild World of Sports, Big Z?
It was on ABC.
Okay.
Jim had challenged Franco to a 40-yard race that he could beat him.
Yeah.
And I think Jim at that time may have been in his late 40s, mid-40s.
Yeah.
He went out there and pulled a hamstring before he could even come out of his stance. And Franco won, but it let Jim know that yes, your mind is still thinking what you can do, but your body was saying no.
I think we've all experienced that pulled hamstring. Some guys get hurt getting out of bed, and I'm sometimes speaking from experience. Big C, I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is a foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you at 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. So, Big C, we know it's all one thing. I just got to bring up one more point about this because I've always known a color line in broadcast. I've known it in life and business, and we know it exists. But I want to just say, not only do I appreciate some of the programs that will bring the former athletes on and let them have a day to do whatever, I just say be prepared, but don't end it. I have so many of my Caucasian brethren saying, we don't want to hear that stuff. Well, a lot of what we hear also from our Caucasian brethren, that maybe they don't hear that criticism, because a lot of black men don't have access to a microphone unless he's a sidekick to be the sycophant to the guy they want to prop up. And we know that exists. But there are times when people get on and say, well, don't you think that this athlete, he's kind of past his prime, and do you think that really he should be someone that the team should lean on, or should they look in a different direction? What do you think, Joe? Because, sometime before you take a nap, Big C, I wonder how this guy do a show, and I'm taking a nap when I hear him for 2 minutes. So there's a lot of code talk going on that they're trying to get rid of this players-only talk. And that's coming from my white brethren in media. They know who they are. Nobody calls them out but Big C Sports. So I say if you're a network, keep mixing up and diversifying your broadcast, because a lot of people like toast when it has some butter and some sugar on it. Big C, that make any sense?
thought, Charlton, when you look at it from their perspective, is that these are the guys that they always try to run away because, we buy into these, they're replaceable.
Yep.
Okay, when they talk about athletes. Every broadcast is replaceable.
Sure is.
But they have that good old boys club that allows certain guys to stay in forever.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of what they say.
As long as the teleprompter works, Big C, they got a job,
As
Big
long
C.
as the teleprompter works.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at a lot of the mistakes that these guys have made over the years,
Yeah.
and they still stay in play.
Yeah.
But their number one plus is that they criticize minority athletes.
Uh-huh.
When you sit back and you watch an NFL, show afterwards,
Yeah.
when they're talking about the highlights,
Yeah.
they're not criticizing the white quarterbacks.
Nope.
They're not doing that.
No.
They'll criticize an offensive lineman for missing a block. They'll criticize a receiver for not making the catch. Well, these things, they always criticize.
Yeah.
But, you let that quarterback. Go back to Nathan Peterman last year with Buffalo.
Yeah.
When he played about 5 minutes and threw a half dozen interceptions
Yeah.
against the Chargers.
He was down in Vegas before
Tyrod Taylor.
he was down in Vegas before the game, just so you know, Big C, okay?
But he was defended.
Yeah.
He was even defended. You let a black quarterback throw 5 interceptions in 4 quarters.
Yeah.
And the word is, why should he even be in the NFL?
Yeah.
Why should he be playing?
Yeah.
Nathan Peterman threw 5 interceptions in less than half a quarter.
Yeah.
Almost ran Buffalo out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick threw 4 interceptions in an entire season.
Yeah.
And can't get an NFL job.
Yeah, when you look at his starts, when he started those 8 games, he's 16 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions. And no one can Google that's a good stat, Big C. Okay, they could.
Well, but you think about it. He's a black quarterback who took a stance.
Yeah.
So he can't play. But the guy who can throw 5 interceptions in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Is an NFL caliber quarterback.
Yeah.
We look how much Blake Bortles been maligned throughout his career up until this last season.
Yeah.
Okay. No one said he should be benched. They should give up on him.
No.
That he didn't seem like he wanted to play. And one of your friends, Jay Cutler, said, I don't even want to play football.
Yeah.
He said, I have no interest in the game whatsoever. Okay? And people question Colin Kaepernick. They said, we don't know if he want to play.
Yeah.
Jay Cutler told them,
yeah.
I don't want to play.
Well,
please, cut me. But they gave him $10 million, said, just come out.
Yeah. What was
Guaranteed.
that? What was Rocky Balboa's trainer? Was it Mick? He said, cut me, Mick.
Yeah.
Cut me in the fight with Rocky. And he cut him so he could still fight the fight. And I just think that's funny because, I don't have that. I mean, maybe I have been a sycophant at times because when I was younger, I was a little bit naive too. I thought you had to kiss a lot of Fanny, and maybe you do. But I want to speak from my other, African-American brethren who are the sidekick at a lot of programs. And, of course, you want the paycheck, so you might let them do whatever they want to do to you. Call your boy, whatever it takes to get the paycheck coming in. But you still have kids, and you don't want to raise your kids to be a sycophants. Sometimes people respect you when you know they're wrong and you tell them they're wrong. Sometimes they have more respect for you and you stick around longer than being the whipping board. That's just a little motivational speak for a lot of guys that lost their spine. Because I know you're sidekicks, but when I hear some of our brethren say those things, I'll never forget one time I was doing a game at the Coliseum in Oakland, and we had picked up some broadcasters from San Francisco, drove across the Bay Bridge to bring them to the Coliseum to do the game. It was a game with CBS Sports, and one of my white counterparts said, Charlton, and we're going to an NFL game. He said, if you see a lot of black guys in the BMW, you know they're up to no good. And here we are, I'm driving them in a BMW, and I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, you're different. I said, wait a minute. What do you mean I'm different? That's a dumb thing to say. He said, well, I'm just saying. I said, no, what do you mean by that? He said, well, no, you're right. Now, what if I would have agreed with him? And I would have said, yeah, we are up to no good. That same garbage gets perpetuated, and it's so comfortable, they'll start even saying it on the air, and they don't even get checked by the black counterpart because they don't even have the character of Rosa Parks. But see, that make any sense?
Well, you see it in the broadcast spectrum all the time, Charlton. You look at the teams that are drafting number 1 and number 2 in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
Okay, the Cleveland Browns. They started Deshaun Kaiser, a rookie out of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Okay, he had a lot of downs and didn't have as many ups in his rookie season.
Yeah.
He's been traded to Green Bay now.
Yeah.
But the team that's drafted number 2, Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Every problem that the Giants had was not Eli Manning.
No.
It was everybody else on offense.
Yeah.
The offensive line couldn't block.
Yeah.
The running backs couldn't run.
Yeah.
The receivers couldn't get open.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times you can't throw the receivers open.
Yeah.
When you can't get the ball there, and he's got to slow down, and the defensive back is closing that gap
Yeah.
to get on top of the ball. But think about it. They're drafting number 2 in the NFL this year. That's because you have the second worst record in the league.
Yeah.
And no one is saying it is time for Eli to move on.
No.
That he needs to go. That he was the problem with the Giants. They need to find a quarterback and build for the future.
Yeah.
They're talking now, or maybe he has another 2 or 3 good years left in him. Okay?
Yeah.
He was. You think about it, he's led the NFL in the last 4 seasons in fourth quarter interceptions.
Yeah.
The last 4 years.
Yeah.
So, last I heard in football, that's crunch time.
Yep.
Fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That's where the winners excel.
Yeah.
It's in the fourth quarter. But you've led the NFL over the last 4 seasons
Yeah.
in fourth quarter interceptions.
Yep.
And no one is saying that it's time for you to go.
No.
And normally, the longer a sporting event goes on, I think there's this old analogy that players tend to get tired.
Yeah.
Okay? And so maybe in his latter years of his career, he doesn't have the tenacity to push it into the fourth quarter.
Well,
But no one's questioning Eli's ability to play quarterback.
no, he doesn't
But
get
the
criticized.
black
for that.
quarterbacks were being questioned. Tyrod Taylor
Yeah.
was questioned and benched.
Yeah.
Think about it. When they benched Eli Manning in New York,
Yeah.
they went apoplectic in the NFL.
Yeah.
And especially in that state.
Yep.
Tyrod Taylor played in the same state.
Yep.
He had a winning record and got benched.
Made the playoffs.
Nobody cried for Tyrod,
No.
and he got traded.
You know, that's a good, I mean, you remind me of a song, Don't Cry For Me, Argentina. Remember that song? I mean, you probably don't recognize it the way I sing it.
Probably the words, but not that song.
Okay, the words, but not that song. But we know it's all good in love and war. I do want to take a little bit of time to pay homage to our great high school basketball teams, the top 10 all over the country, doing it the right way, them good old boys. Number 1, Mount Verde, Florida. They're 32-0, ranked number 1 in the country. Number 2, University High School of Davie, Florida at 34-1. Number 3 is Finley Prep out of Henderson, Nevada at 31-4. Number 4, Memphis East, 29-3. They'll have to find a new head coach, but good old boys are playing good basketball down south. Number 5, Shadow Mountain, Phoenix, Arizona. They're 25-1, Big C. Number 6, La Lumiere out of LaPorte, Indiana, 23-3. Number 7, Imhotep Charter out of Philadelphia. They're 29-2, playing good basketball in the Northeast. Number 8, DeMatha Catholic out of Hyattsville, Maryland, 32-5. Number 9, Oak Ridge out of Orlando, Florida, 30-4. Number 9, that's a great program playing up there in Orlando. A lot of good programs down in Florida. Number 10 is Roselle out of New Jersey. They're Catholic. They're 29-4, and those are the top 10 high school basketball programs in the United States of America. So we congratulate you here on Big C Sports for doing it the right way. Big C, as we close out, we have some great NBA basketball. Last night, Boston, just a down-to-the-wire great game against OKC. Anybody's game coming down the stretch. Boston gets a big win. And just what's your thoughts on how well OKC is playing, even though they lost, but Boston had to get that win last night, Big C?
Well, Boston is desperately in need of a win, Charlton. Now that Kyrie Irving has been down for the past several games, and there's really no new timetable on him coming back. As a matter of fact, he's seeking a second opinion on his injury.
Yeah.
But, just as OKC, you think they're getting over the hump all the time, they have another hiccup.
Yeah.
They're not going to get seated any higher than what they are in the West.
Yeah.
And so this is most likely a team that's going to be out in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Based on where their seeding is. But Boston, they started off the season, and I think they were 16-2
Yeah.
at the beginning of the season, and everybody said that they were just going to run away with the East.
Yeah.
Because the Cavaliers were struggling at that point, and they figured they would finish 1-2.
Yeah.
But ironically, your boys up north that you keep butchering the song on snuck
Oh,
up on everybody.
Canada. Yeah. I tell you, since I've been singing it, haven't they been at the top of the East Big C? I mean, there's no coincidence. I also want to look at some of the things that I saw last night. Portland and in Houston. Playoff atmosphere, Motor Center's off the hook, fans knowledgeable about the game. But there's something about Harden that he rose to the occasion. He was almost like LeBron James with a beard, Big C. 42 points. Damian Lillard didn't shoot well. And even though he didn't shoot well, Portland was right there with a chance to... They were 2 points down with less than about 20 seconds to play. And then the Houston missed a shot down in the paint. I thought Paul pushed off, but they didn't call it on him with about 4 seconds left. Would have given Portland possession. But your thoughts on Houston ending that winning streak up in Portland, which is so difficult to win there, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you think of the dominance of the backcourt in Houston right now, with the Harden and Paul, that combination, Charlton.
Yeah.
And, when you think about D'Antoni's job that he's done as a head coach,
Yeah.
When you go back to when he was in Phoenix, when he wanted to limit the possessions that his team had,
Yep.
he wanted to come down and get up a shot before the shot clock even started.
Yeah.
And now when you look at Houston, one of the top possession teams in the NBA, and they're close to 100 possessions a game, as far as getting a shot off.
Yeah.
Where, they slowed down the offense. But what James Harden does offensively, Charlton,
Yeah.
is that he puts so much pressure on a defense, is that he can take you to the basket, he can raise up from three.
Yep.
But his most devastating shot right now, which we have not seen since Dirk Nowitzki's prime,
Yeah.
is that step back.
Oh, yeah.
And, he steps back, gets that separation. And when you're fading away taking a three-point shot, that's
Yeah.
undefendable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And here the guy's dropping over 40 points against Portland last night. And no one said that Portland was a great defensive team. But there hasn't been a defense all year long in the NBA that could stop Harden.
No, not at all. I mean, what I like about him, he reminds me of back in the day when Magic Johnson played. Magic Johnson played all positions in the playoff one time. But not only that, he knew how to find the open guy. Well, when you're Harden, you don't want to find anybody. You want to shoot the ball. And for any team, and it's easy to talk about how they should play Harden, but at some point in time, maybe the strategy would be double Harden, make Chris Paul beat you, because Chris Paul's not big enough to beat and drive the paint the way Harden is. I mean, he's a good player, but he's definitely the number 2 option. Harden's the number 1 option, and I think even Paul would concede to that. As a coach going into it, whether it's Kerr or anybody else Pop that might face them in the playoffs, don't you want to double team Harden as much as possible? And Portland so many times had a big man trying to guard him. Doesn't make any sense they did that, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you can't double team anybody in the NBA now because there's no deadbeats out on the floor. It's not like in college basketball where you can find a guy who can't shoot.
Yeah.
Harden, you just have to put a stop on him. I mean, you think about years gone by in the NBA. You think about during the Bulls' great run and the Detroit Pistons' great run.
Yeah.
They had a guy named Dennis Rodman.
Oh, yeah.
That you would put on the best offensive player on the opposing team.
Yeah.
And expect for him to be neutralized.
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman would do that. His game was to stop your best player. Even Ron Artest was able to do that.
Yeah.
For a brief time in his career.
Yeah.
Where he could be a defensive stopper. Draymond Green at times had played that role for the Warriors.
Yeah.
If he's healthy come playoffs, he would be the matchup against Harden.
Yeah.
We've seen it with San Antonio with Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Where you put him on that offensive superstar, and he's going to slow down his game.
Yeah.
But that's what you have to do. You have to dedicate some fouls to Harden.
Yeah.
You have to dedicate some guys who want to sacrifice their offense and not be involved offensively. Is that they're going to expend all their energy being that defensive stopper, because if you can keep James Harden under 25 points, you can beat the Rockets.
Yeah.
But when you let him have a free-for-all and he's going out getting 42.
He's like a smorgasbord. He was going back with so many points.
Where the basket buffet is open for him.
Yeah.
All you're going to do is be in that losing press conference and, we got to make some adjustments.
Yeah. He said something about fried chicken with one of the interviews. I don't know what it is with fried chicken and you guys down south, but sometimes do you guys actually put the chicken to sleep before you put them in the fryer? Or do they let them do it live, Big C? How you guys eat fried chicken down south?
Well, we whatever way you want to walk into the fryer.
Yeah, that's funny, Big C. Other good games tonight. We have Memphis at Philadelphia. Should be Philadelphia win. The games are all underway right now. Charlotte at Brooklyn. New York at Miami. Should be a Miami win. Denver at Chicago, looking for Denver to do some good things. I know they're trying to hang around, sniffing a playoff opportunity. And you have the Clippers at Milwaukee, which would be a big game, especially for the Clippers and Milwaukee. Both teams trying to hang around and see if they're going to be playoff relevant. And Indiana at New Orleans, big game for New Orleans. Got to get that win at home, especially knowing that they felt they got jobbed against Houston, Big C. And then Washington at San Antonio, two playoff teams. I think San Antonio's playing a lot better. But tonight, Big C, the marquee game, Toronto at Cleveland. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, oh, Canada, our home and native land. Big C, how them good old boys going to handle LeBron James in that big C that he wears on his jersey, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it's an adjustment for Cleveland. You think about it, Charlton. Toronto handed Cleveland the worst loss of the season as far as a point deficit.
Yeah.
So, that mental game right now is being played. How do we overcome our worst loss of the season against the team that's leading the division?
Yeah.
And so I don't think that intimidation factor exists anymore with Toronto and Cleveland. Now, they've had Toronto's number in the playoffs the last 3 years. They just walked through them.
Yeah.
But this is not the playoffs. And this is a team that's trying to play itself into some consistency in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Toronto's there. They're a battle-tested team right now.
Yeah.
And I even think if they went into a 7-game series, that Toronto would not be intimidated like they have in the past. I know that LeBron's been,
bully ball.
the Achilles heel of Toronto.
Yeah.
But, I don't see that occurring anymore. This is a team that's gotten to that mature stage.
Yeah.
That understands that window closes even for them.
Yeah. Well,
and so look for them not to back down and be dominating versus Cleveland tonight.
You think Kevin Love has, again, he only played 25 minutes last game. They'll probably try to push him at least to 30, 35 minutes or so, get his win and get his legs under him again. Do you think that long-term he's going to stay that number 2? Because LeBron obviously is number 1 in the universe. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's the only number 2 that they have in this lineup.
Yeah.
When Kevin Love went down, you saw how this team became very average. They were a 500 team.
Yeah.
With him out of the lineup.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, a little less than 500.
Yeah.
But he creates a defensive mismatch.
Yeah.
For the opponent, because he can take the ball out to the arc and shoot from 3.
Yeah.
He can also shoot it in closer. His 12 to 8 foot game, Charlton, has always been very solid. He's always been an elite scorer in the NBA.
Yeah.
But now that he's healthy, he has fresh legs. You got to realize he was down for a month.
Yeah.
So his legs are a lot fresher than the opponents at this point of the season.
Yeah.
So he's going to create a mismatch every time he's on the floor.
Well, they're going to need that tonight to knock off them good old boys from Canada. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you've got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, there is some promise out on the West Coast of Steph Curry potentially coming back, by the end of the week. He's been cleared for full contact. And so you may see him in the lineup come this weekend with the Golden State Warriors. I wouldn't push him that quick. I'd let him rest another week because they're going to need him in the playoffs, not right now.
Big C, that's a very good point. I would rest him too, but what I won't rest is every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America, and Big C Sports. has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any woman or man going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to deal with that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports Show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.